Islam, it's also there. It's clear. The reading, the understanding, the words are there. The word shahada is used. فَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. It says it in the Quran. Muhammad Rasulullah. It says that in the Quran. It says it in the Hadith of Jibreel, where it says كُنَّ جَالِسٌ مَعَ رَسُولٍ. Anyway, go on. So from your claim against Islam was wrong. My claim against, or my question to you was regards to the words used in the Trinity of essence and persons.
Yeah.
Where do you find those ideas in the way it's formulated in the Trinitarian Creed in the Bible? Up to now, you've not been able to say. You spoke. No. The moment I said it's a progressive revelation, you said no, hang on, Hillary and these guys, the Cappadonians, it's not a progressive revelation.
That's not what I said.
It means it must be there from the very beginning.
It means that it must be in the beginning in certain respects.
You are unable to substantiate on multiple times with these words that you make up for the Trinity, your whole basis of your belief is not there to be found in the Bible.
We substantiated that, I just need the concept.
No, you didn't.
Yes,
I've
we
asked
did.
you put your phone away.
That's the reason that we came away.
Why did you put your phone away?
Huh?
Why did you think I didn't know?
To focus on what you're saying.
No, you wasn't focusing all this time. All of a sudden.
Well, yeah, but I thought that there could be more of a focus. Do you want me to pull on my phone and start focusing more?
Find it, no problem.
That's fine. I mean, I can do the same. I can do hypostasis right now.
But you've done the same thing to me.
I can show you hypostasis right now.
No, in the Bible in regards to the Trinity.
Yeah, I thought you stopped searching. That's why.
You will never be able to find the formulation of the Trinity in the Bible.
Will you be able to find the word hypostasis in the Bible?
Yeah. You know what? I'll tell you when it's used.
Yeah.
It's used when Paul comes up to James, and James, who is a companion of Jesus, he goes to Paul and says, the people say, you have apostatized from the law of Moses.
I said hypostasis, not apostatized.
Okay, well, that's what I have.
Hypostasis.
What is
hypostasis? Hypostasis.
Do you speak Greek?
Underlying reality.
Do you speak Greek?
I don't speak modern Greek, no.
Why are you putting an accent for?
That's the way it's pronounced. Hypostasis. I just want to be fair to the pronunciation, you know. There might be Greeks watching. I just want to be fair to them.
Anyway, the point is you still have not. I'm still waiting.
Yeah, Hebrews 1:3 for hypostasis. I wanted to find if it was Sia as well.
That's not the New Testament. What's Hebrews got to do?
Hebrews is not the New Testament.
No. That's what
it is. It's the New Testament. What are you talking about?
Okay, sorry. Who wrote Hebrews? Who wrote Hebrews?
Hebrews?
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, in regards to
nobody knows. This is an unknown author.
Can I finish? Can I finish?
Don't play.
Can I finish?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So this is very important. So the modern eclectic tradition would argue that it is unknown, insofar as when they look at the titles of the text, it wouldn't actually say Paul's name or something like that. However, according to right, the ancient tradition of the church, we would be able to substantiate through the writings of the fathers, that actually it was written by Paul, but Paul just did not emendate his name on the title. Yeah, but he was in pseudepigraphical. Yeah, could you respond to the point that I said?
Slow down. Hebrews.
So what was the response that I gave you?
The claim was that this word is found in Hebrews. Now my anti-claim or counter-claim is you don't even know who wrote Hebrews.
How does that have anything to do with whether it's in the New Testament?
How can someone who never knew, you don't know the
How does that have anything to do with whether it's in the NT?
Let me answer you.
Okay, that's fine.
It's pretty obvious. If I grabbed a book and say to you, this book says that this man is a tree, would you believe it?
I would believe that the book says it, yes. I would believe the book says it.
You don't know who authored it. How do you
Why
know
are you telling me to end the discussion?
Do you know?
Because the book says it,
How do you know? If you don't know who
how do I know that the book says it? It's in there, you know? It's like it's in the pages. So here's the issue that we have. You asked me, can I find the term hypostasis and ousia in the Bible? So I've got a place in the New Testament. So this is the issue. You said, you asked me this. Can you find the terms hypostasis, ousia, and certain? Yeah, good. So the regards of the Trinity. Yeah, I said Hebrews 1 verse 3. That is where the term hypostasis is used. So this is the Trinity is a conception. In relation to that conception, hypostasis is found. Hebrews 1 verse 3 of the same hypostasis as the Father.
In regards to the Trinity, can you show me these words of essence?
Yes.
And
the regard of the Trinity is the conception, isn't it?
Now you're saying Hebrews, yeah? Let's say just grant, for the sake of granting, I know it's not there.
It is actually there. The hypostasis is there.
You don't know.
For the camera, it's Hebrews 1 verse 3. Hypostasis is mentioned there. Thanks.
Excuse me.
I just want to let people know that it's actually in there. That's fine. Yeah.
I'm going to give you a chance to read from that verse. Yeah.
Okay. It says hypostasis there. The word translated into English is substance, but it actually means an underlying reality.
In regards to the Trinity, show me where these these words, persons and essences there.
Hypostasis
He keeps on
and
changing
usia.
my question. We're going to see what it is.
Yeah, hypostasis and usia.
Now he says, oh, it's in Hebrews. But then what he doesn't want to tell you, though he knows, is that nobody knows who authored Hebrew.
Not necessarily.
There isn't a scholar worth his dime that says Hebrews were written by Paul.
There isn't
Paul
a modern.
has how many letters is there?
Yeah, there isn't a there isn't.
Paul has a
Okay,
bunch
so
of
there isn't
writing
anyone that
there
used
regards
reason
to-
eclecticism.
Are you gonna just talk
I was going to respond to the point. So there's no one that there's no one that uses reason there's no one that uses reason eclecticism to argue that point. You're just accusing me of being rude anyway. So look, is there anyone that mentions okay? So there are people in reason eclecticism that are agreeing with what you're saying, but however, it does not mean that those are the only scholars worth their salt.
Persons, these terminologies you use for the idea of the Trinity
in the Bible, right?
Three persons in one essence in the Bible. Give you.
Yeah, Hebrews 1 verse 3, which is in the Bible. Yeah, it's fine. So this is important. Before I open up the text, I want to say something. I'm not preaching. I'm giving the same amount of conception that it's saying. Again, remember, if he's asked, that's fine. If you're saying in regards to the Trinity, that means in regards to the conception of the Trinity. One of the points of conception of the Trinity is that the Son is equal in essence to the Father, or that he is begotten from the Father. Okay? If I can find that conception,
that's not what the Trinity
that is part of the Trinity.
I'm not saying part
so
of the
this, yes, the conception of the Trinity.
Wait, do you know what the Trinity is?
Part of the
conception
conception
do you know
of
what
the
the
Trinity.
Trinity is? I need to
Yes,
understand
yeah,
this.
yeah.
What is the Trinity?
Good. That.
No, you're gonna hold.
Oh yeah,
Don't
that's fine.
change it.
That's fine.
The fourth time you tried to hide.
No, the only reason is so that I can focus on answering
explain
you, right? Because I use my hands a lot.
Your understanding of the Trinity
All right. So the understanding of the Trinity is as follows: that God is one in usia and that He is three in hypostasis. That is actually what I'm saying.
1 second, Sig.
You ask me a question, and then as soon as I open my mouth, you need to clarify something.
Let me refine the question.
Oh, okay, that's fine. You can refine the question.
We want to know what your definition of the Trinity is.
I was literally about to say that.
Yeah, I know, but you don't need to talk over me.
I just elevated my voice for the camera.
Leave the preaching aside, Sig.
I'm not preaching. It's fine, dude.
Show us from the Bible this Trinity.
Yeah. So, let me show you from the Bible one of the conceptions of the Trinity.
That's not the definition of Trinity by any standard of stretch.
What?
The definition of Trinity. Show me.
Is not that God is one in usia and three in hypostasis?
Okay, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
What
So
else
this is
that
okay.
They are?
Yes, that, and this is very
what?
important. That one of the persons is begotten from the Father, one of the persons is unbegotten, and one of those persons is also spirated from the Father. Some articulate from the Father to the Son, doesn't really necessarily matter. Now, I'm gonna say more.
Begotten, I just want to understand that.
Okay.
Begotten according to you, unbegotten.
Yeah. Begotten in one.
It's not preceded.
Unbegotten.
It's not preceded, no?
Yes, one precedes.
Okay, thank you.
So
never said that, though.
Yeah, I said one was begotten, one was unbegotten, and one precedes. That's exactly what I said.
Okay.
Yeah. One begotten, one is unbegotten, and one
but
precedes.
But they're still all the same.
What?
Even though one is begotten.
In what respect?
One precedes.
In respect to usia.
Yeah,
in respect to usia.
But they're still all the same.
In respect to usia.
Okay, go on. What does usia mean for the camera?
Yeah. So usia.
Nature.
Yeah. Necessary. It would be translated to nature. Yeah. Some try to translate it to like essence or quiddity if you're a modern scholastic. Now, here's the issue.
What does nature mean? Does knowledge nature?
No, not necessarily.
Knowledge isn't nature.
So no, knowledge
is eternal.
Hold on, this is important, right? Yeah. So when you say knowledge is nature, I don't think you're making some sort of statement of absolute. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily.
You know what I mean, Sig?
No, I'm clarifying. That's why I asked you, man. That's why I asked you.
Is knowledge a part of a person's nature?
Again, you're asking me to define what nature means, right? So, yeah, this is hold on. This is the point that I'm saying. You want me to answer your question, so I'm going to answer what nature means, right? So, do you want me to answer the question of what nature means? Do you want me to answer the question of what nature means? I'm very calm. The term nature means whatness. It's actually identical to quiddity. It's fine, calm down. So, the term nature means quiddity, right? What a thing is. So, what a thing is can necessarily be for us Christians. We would say that what God is, right, is His.
Not all-knowing. That's not what He is.
No, that's hold on. I'm just going to answer the question. I'm just going to answer the question. That's fine.
His nature or
right.
not?
It is part of what He is as well.
No, I'm asking you a very clear question.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
If God is all-knowing, is that part of His nature?
Yes, but there is also certain
respects.
Or no? Okay, hold on. So there are certain respects of which we can say.
And you know
I didn't skip over anything. I'm just answering the question for you. So when we say that God is So when we say that God is His nature, right? His usia.
God is His nature?
Yes, God is His essence. Is God not His essence?
Who's He? If
God is His nature. Is that what
God
he is?
is his nature.
Yes.
Godliness, you mean, is his nature.
No, God is his nature. So when we use the term God, that can be in reference to the essence. Now, at the same time, right, it can also be used in a nominal sense, as in to name something. And it can also be used in the sense of the actions that God may display in the world. Now, here is the issue at play.
What are you answering?
What?
What are you answering?
I'm
What's
answering on what nature meant. That's what I actually. Yeah, that's the question that we need to inquire into. We can't skip over what nature means, man.
See, don't make up questions and answer.
I didn't make up the question.
If you make up questions and answering, what's that called?
If you don't answer, hold on. If you don't, why are you pleading the paperwork? If you don't clarify your terms on what nature means.
Please. Because he's a Christian, I'm struggling with this conversation.
Why don't you time it?
Okay, we can time it. Time it, please. Yeah, time it. Yeah.
That's what I said from the beginning. At least both.
Yeah, I said that there's no necessary needs, right? Could you please find in the Strong's Concordance where the term usia is used? O-U-S-I-A in English, but usia would be in Greek.
Don't ask him for help. You're the one that made
it's just because my data is really bad. I have 4G, but it's not good.
In the Quran, I gave it to you.
Yeah, no, but that's just
in the Sunnah, I gave it.
Hold on. The reason why
you put away your phone good 7 or
because I found one of the terms for you. So the issue that we have is this.
Standard for someone and not for
yes, I had the same standard I'm applying to myself. However, hold on. I just want to clarify something, right? So the only reason I asked Paperboy for the definition, I actually gave him where he could find it. In the Strong's Concordance list, the term usia is found, okay? All I'm doing is just asking Paperboy, could you just hurry up and find the term usia in the Strong's Concordance? That's it, because I know it's there. Now, I also found the term hypostasis. Hypostasis is used in Hebrews 1 verse 3. Now, usually people translate the word hypostasis to substance, but really it's actually more akin to an underlying or concrete reality. That term is used in Nicaea, for example, where it says, and he's of the same essence as the Father. That usia is used, for example. And when the Cappadocians articulate what it means for Christ to be of the same, one of the persons of the Trinity, they use the term hypostasis and use Hebrews 1 verse 3 as their justification, because that is actually part of what they believe. The threeness is in the respect of hypostasis, right? That term in Hebrews 1 verse 3 and in other places in the Bible. Now, I just gave you one of them, and then you try to do some random thing about why, you don't know who wrote that. Wouldn't matter anyway about, are we...
Should we do a minute? Okay, you've got 1 more minute left.
Oh, right. Yeah, so again, asking me, you don't know who wrote that text has nothing to do with whether the text itself says it. For example, if I found a random book in a forest and it says, horses are blue, if I don't know who wrote the book, that's irrelevant to whether that text in the forest says, horses are blue. We are talking about whether that text says something, not who wrote that text. That is true. You asked me for my conception in X text, not where did X text come from. It's a random fallacy that you're kind of just trying to sweep in, right? Sort of like a hockey thing, you know what I'm saying? So here's the issue that we now have at hand, okay? And before we conclude, we're going to say this, okay? The conception of the Trinity is all I need to find. I don't need to find the term Trinity in the Bible. The earliest form of the word Trinity is in the words of Theophilus of Antioch in his Authorship, okay? That's actually where it's in 186 AD as well, very early on before the time of Jesus, right towards the end of the 2nd century. And the conception of the Trinity is not just found in Scripture, but in the apostolic tradition as well. That is what I'm defending, okay? Not, you must believe in the Trinity. Sorry, my friend, yeah, go on.
What was it, Hebrews 1:3 you said? Hebrews 1:3?
Yeah. No, it's in Hebrews 1:3, yeah.
15:12 as well.
Oh, Usia?
Yeah.
Thank you, yeah.
All right, starting the clock now.
Okay, so the request or the demand from SIIIG was very simple.
Yeah.
It wasn't hard. He made the request from us. Where's the Shahada in the Quran? I gave him that, and I also told him it's in the Sunnah. Is there, is available, and he didn't back down. He then changed it. If any of the cameras there, he changed his request saying, "Oh no, but I want the wording to be like this and this and that." The Shahada comes in many forms, and it's there in the Quran. It's in there in the Sunnah. My request to you was very simple. I say that the Trinity was an idea which referred to the scholars, and I gave you the names of scholars, as a progressive revelation. Yes. And you said no, there are some scholars, and I gave you a list of scholars. Some scholars that say no, it's not a progressive revelation. If something's not progressive, it means it was there from the very beginning. You said Hilary, the Cappadonian Fathers. If this is true, this is what you said.
So no interruption.
Yeah, no.
Oh,
So
my fault. I apologize. Sorry, I have to apologize to the camera because I did interrupt him. Apologies for the interruption. Go on.
If they say that this is not progressive revelation, they have to say it's in the Bible. You were given multiple times to give these references and these verses.
And I did.
The one in regards to the Trinity, the question was clear. Essence and persons in regards to the formulation of the Trinity.
Okay.
I'll read for you what you mentioned because you didn't read it. It was found in Hebrews. Now the author of Hebrew is unknown. We don't know who the author of Hebrews is. It is not Paul. If you take your theology from an unknown author, then it does matter. You need to know who your author of your book or your writing, which you claim is revelation, is before you take it. Here, I'll read it. Since you didn't read it. Because remember, the Trinity, we gave him the opportunity to explain what the Trinity is. It's one essence in three persons, but there's more. This one is preceded. I'll let him read it. Because one is preceded, one is begotten, and one is uncreated. I'll give you to read. Go on.
Oh, you're going to read it in English? That's
you
fine.
can read it in
Okay, guys.
Latin.
No, that's fine. No, I don't read the Latin manuscripts. It's fine. So it says this, right? So I'm going to read the English. Oh,
Your
really?
time is now. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Hey, guys. I have two phones. Doesn't necessarily matter, but it's fine, right? I'm going to read it out in English, okay? And then I'm going to hone in on one word. And that's the word that I'm banking on for some reason. Hebrews 1 verse 3 says, "The Son is the radiance of God's glory and the exact representation of his being, sustaining all things by his powerful word. After he had provided the purification for sins, he sat down at the right hand of the majesty in heaven." Now, this is the only time I'm going to allow him to be speaking my time. That word right there, that says substance, what does it say? Just read it out for the camera.
Substance. You just said
No. In the Greek, right there. See that transliteration? What does it say? Just read it for the camera.
Hypostasios.
Thank you very much. So, that word, hypostasios, is actually the term hypostasis. Right. So, the term hypostasis, like you just read, is in the Bible. But obviously it's in Greek, it's not in English, right? The term translated for substance right there, or being, for example, they translate it to hypostasis. It's come to be known as an underlying or concrete reality. Now, my good friend Paperboy over here, he was able to help me, not necessarily help me, because I told him where in the concordance, to find the word ousia. The term ousia is also mentioned in the Bible. According to the Gospel of Luke, it also says the word ousia. All I needed to show was that the terms that I use to describe my conception of the Trinity is in the Bible. Now, I also use the apostolic tradition, not limited, including but not limited to Basil of Caesarea, Basil the Great, right? Cyril of Alexandria, Cyril of Jerusalem in its catechetical lectures, which are very important, Athanasius the Great, and other individuals who I can't be bothered to name, and they will come around later. The point of this contention was as follows. So long as I can find the concept in the book I believe in, doesn't matter who wrote that book, because that's not what we're talking about. If you want to make an authorship debate, I'm very happy to do that, but that's not the question, that topic. I'll refer you to my final example. If I find a book over there in those section of trees, and it says, horses are blue, right? Does it matter?
10 seconds.
Oh, does it matter if that person, if we know that person wrote it? No. All it matters is that that person, whatever book it is, says horses are blue. That's the actual topic of discussion.
And this is what Christianity is in a nutshell. You have books written by multiple people in multiple regions, and we don't know who wrote it, when it was written, and to whom it was written. You have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. We don't know who the authorships of these books are. There are only suppositions about who Mark was, to the point that even John, which has the highest Christology, we don't know if it was written by a single person or community. So there are scholars also that mention that John was written by a community of believers, and then the book later was titled as John. And this is the case with Hebrew. We don't know who wrote the book of Hebrews, but he's still happy to take this as his scripture and say, this is my belief. This will not uphold in any core or Islamic sciences as well. We need to know in hadith who said what and from who, and does it go back to the prophets? And that's why the very point that we make is the Trinity never goes back to any of the prophets. Jesus, peace and blessings be upon him, he only ever said there's one true God. And if you see also in the Hebrew that he mentioned, it also mentions that there is one God, one true God, and there's one mediator between man and God, and that mediator is Jesus. So you have God, and then you have the mediator. So you're there telling me what some unknown author said. Read the author properly. Not one single author of the New Testament, their theology is in line with Trinitarian theology. John does not hold your theology. Mark does not hold your theology. Luke does not hold your theology.
Okay.
None of them do. Mark has the lowest Christology. John, which is the latest written in Ephesus, has the highest Christology. And not only that, it calls Jesus the Logos. And the funny thing is, if the original author originally put this word there, Logos, why didn't all the other people before Mark write about Jesus being a Logos? Because this idea came many years after. It would make no sense if Jesus was the Logos that he wasn't mentioned as a God before that.
Thanks, man. Just to clarify something, guys. Okay, just to clarify something, guys, I'm gonna have to speak very quickly because we're on a timer, okay? So, remember back in them times, remember that he asked me whether I can find the term usia and whether I can find the term hypostasis in the Bible. Now, if you want my source, you have my very good man here who provided the term hypostasis because he read it out for you guys. And we also provided the term usia. So, just for you to jump in quickly, was the term hypostasis and usia in the Bible?
What was my question?
In the Bible.
What was my question?
Yeah, whether those terms were in the Bible.
What was, no, that's
in regards to the Trinity, yeah.
You changed it.
Yeah, in regards to the Trinity.
And you keep putting that statement
So,
out.
okay, cool. So let's clarify that. That's fine.
Purpose.
That's fine.
This is like the third or fourth
I just asked you whether those words are in the Bible. Are the words in the Bible?
What's my original question?
Just answer whether they're in the Bible, yes or no.
What's my original question?
Are they in the Bible?
It doesn't matter. What's my
so then, okay, so they're in the Bible. So this is the issue that we have. Right, hold on. In regards to the Trinity, let's define for you guys what I believe the Trinity is. The Trinity is a doctrine that maintains as follows: that God is one in usia, which is translated as substance or essence, depending on necessarily whether you're a Greek or Latin father, and that God is three in hypostasis, which is a concrete or underlying reality. Now, if I take the term hypostasis or hypostasis, that must be in regards to one of those hypostases. In Hebrews 1 verse 3, it says that the Son is the character of the Father's hypostasis, meaning the exact image of the Father's hypostasis, which is one of the very core doctrines of Trinitarian belief. One of the core doctrines of Trinitarian belief is that the Son's hypostasis, right, is of the same essence or the exact representation of the Father's hypostasis. That's basic Trinitarian belief. Now, I've shown you that in regards to the Trinity. The term usia is being used for substance or being or existence in certain respects. If I can show you that that term means what I've just said, then I can apply it to the Trinitarian life, I can apply it to the Trinitarian notion, and actually my opponent would have nothing else to say on that issue, which is why he's changing it to a historical debate.
Yeah, my question's always been the same from the beginning.
Historical or theological?
So anyway, in regards to nature, I asked you, what does nature mean? I asked you clear in front of the cameras and the person.
Can I answer?
Are you going to keep on interrupting?
I was going to answer it.
Let's be a bit polite.
Yeah, do your time, it's fine.
Yeah, nature is all-knowing part of nature.
Yeah,
and you knew the answer. No, you knew what the answer was, but you fumbled because you knew you didn't want to admit it. To have knowledge is part of a person's knowledge, nature. If I say you are all-knowing, then that's part of your nature.
Yeah.
Jesus did not have this part of the nature. He said he grew in knowledge. When he was asked in regards to the fig tree, he did not know the season.
Okay.
So when he was asked about the last hour, he did not know. He said, no man knoweth the hour, apart from God the Father.
Okay.
Even if you would say, okay, he humbled himself, what about the Holy Spirit?
Yeah.
The only one who knows the last hour is God the Father.
Okay.
The Holy Spirit is part of the Trinity. Why does he not know the last hour? Did he also submit himself? Why did he submit himself? Did he humble himself? Well, we've asked about these words that they use for the Trinity, and we haven't found the answer in regards to the Trinity.
I did.
When we say the Son to who? The Father, both are eternal. How can you have two beings who are eternal? And one is being called Son, and one is being called
There's
Father.
two hypostases,
it makes
bro.
no sense.
Okay.
If both have the same beginning, one cannot be under the other. What does Son even mean if you have two eternals? If all of them are spirit, before Jesus came to earth, he was a spirit. The spirit is spirit, and God is a spirit. Why do you call only one of them a spirit, and the other ones you don't call a spirit?
Okay.
What if there were all three of them? If all three of them are equal, why is it that one proceeds from the other? One is begotten and one is uncreated. These are core things that make up a nature of a thing. If I say you are unbegotten and I say you are begotten, these are two differences in natures. This is the...
No, it's not. It's a difference in hypostasis. Okay, cool. So as you can see, he's basically just moving to either a logical debate or a debate on the history of the Trinity. I have sufficed to be able to show you the conception of the words that I use in regards to one of the conceptions of the Trinity that I showed you in the Bible. So let's attack what necessarily he said.
Sa'a means time.
I stopped the clock.
And
Listen, my friend, this is different.
I'm so sorry, man. I'm just...
the hour lies.
Hey, I can't lie. I'm rude, but that guy,
Christians
mad.
lie.
But it's calm. Nah, I'm joking. I'm not rude. But look, I don't know why I put my arm around you. I just felt comfortable. But look, so
I stopped the clock.
what I'm gonna do now is basically.
Should we? Is that one is just me?
Yeah. We'll just
Let
pack
me know
it.
when you wanna discuss as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, this is.
continue,
Yeah. I'm just gonna. Okay, cool. So what I'm gonna present to you now is how a text is meant to be understood. So we have a book. That's fine. But we also are going to inquire into how that book is meant to be understood in Christian tradition. I'm going to show you one of the bishops of Alexandria who has apostolic succession back to St. Mark himself specifically, who actually explicates on this doctrine, specifically on Jesus growing in wisdom. So it says this: to say that the child grew, this by the way is in Sermon 5 of Cyril of Alexandria's commentary on the Gospel of Luke. It says this: to say that the child grew and grew strong in spirit, being filled with wisdom, and the grace of God was upon him, must be taken as referring to his human nature. Because we believe in the hypostatic union. Christ is one in hypostasis, that is true. But he is also two in feces or nature. There are two feces of Christ, one divine and one human. And the hypostasis does actions according to each. So when it says that the Christ grew in wisdom, he did those actions in accordance to his humanity. However, Cyril, because his commentary is very long as you can see, provides another understanding of how this is supposed to be understood. That, and it's very important, that as Jesus Christ in his humanity grew up, he showed more of his divine self, of who he was as God, of who he was as the Lamb of God, and so on. So much so to the point that when Jesus Christ finally did die on the cross, a pagan centurion was able to say, this man truly was the Son of God, because he was enlightened and had his eyes opened by Jesus. Now, what I've been able to show is an adequate understanding of how that text is meant to be understood. Second of all, in my next response time, I will go into actually the eunomian premise that this guy tries to substantiate with actually no evidence. I'm so sorry, man. I wasn't able to.
So I mentioned Son, I mentioned the meaning of Father, I mentioned the meaning of Spirit. You said that these weren't theological things, which is strange.
Didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Historical, I'm told.
I didn't say that.
Theological thing. This is the crux of your Trinity definition.
Not really.
What is the Father? What is the Son? What is the Spirit? What does the word mean proceeded from? What does the word mean begotten? What does the word mean unbegotten? Don't tell me these aren't theological. These are theological concepts which is found within your Trinity.
Okay.
You are unable up until now to show us what I requested from you in the beginning. You spoke a whole load. You spoke about this
and you responded to nothing.
All of these theological terms, your language, wow, it's amazing. But you haven't substantiated. You haven't substantiated anything.
I did.
Even in my last point, you can't tell us what Trinity is, or even nature. Nature, you can't tell it. Knowledge is part of nature.
You want me to respond to that first?
Well, let me finish.
That's fine.
Yeah? If you can't tell me what nature is, you can't tell me what Trinity is.
Okay.
That's it, and that's the difficulty. You lot go around preaching the Trinity, and you know that the scholars of your Christianity say
modern
it is
eclectics,
a mystery. If it's a mystery for you, it's a mystery for all non-Christians.
You mean modern eclectics?
You cannot tell us what these definitions are, because I've read what the scholars say, and they say this is what
modern
it means
eclectics say
about the word mystery. The Trinity is a mystery, and it's the way to cover your eyes from actually understanding that this makes no sense. Jesus was very clear, there's only one God. All of the prophets before him, there was only one God. The companions came to Jesus' companions, the apostles, he's talking about the Apostles' Creed, came to him and said,
I did not talk about the Apostles' Creed at all.
Excuse me.
I didn't talk about that. I'm sorry, I just didn't talk about that. It's my fault. Yeah, but don't say that I talked about something I didn't talk about.
You say
I said apostolic tradition, not the Apostles' Creed. What are you talking about?
Apostolic. What's apostolic
Come on.
mean?
What?
Does it mean? What's apostolic
In
mean?
pertaining to the Apostles.
Apostles, thank you. Okay.
So when did I say Apostles' Creed? Tell me. Thank you. Anyway, so you didn't actually say Apostles' Creed. You waffled about something.
Stop. You're just making
but you're saying stuff.
You're making yourself look silly.
I see. And you're lying on me.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
It's there on camera.
Yeah, the camera will show that I never said.
SIIIG,
The people on camera will know I never said
Calm
Apostles'
down.
Creed. If you're gonna appeal to me
Sid,
being
Sid,
like angry, I'm
Sid,
not,
Sid,
dude. It's
calm
okay.
down. Stop
I'm
speaking
completely
over
fine.
me.
I'm completely
I'll
fine.
let you speak.
I'm completely fine. Just don't lie on me,
Paper
please.
boy, can you jump in? I can't continue like this. Sir.
So you don't want to talk to me anymore?
No, I can't.
Well, just continue
It's
through
become
rounds.
unbearable.
Yeah, just continue,
bro,
man.
bro.
I'm unbearable. It's okay.
It's okay. Let's make this I'll give him the last 2 minutes and another 2 minutes, and then I'm gonna stop it. Yeah, it's going nowhere. Jesus, the people came to Jesus.
I'll stop moderating. You can just pause.
Yeah.
But he's going to speak over.
Don't
me.
worry,
That's
I won't
the
speak.
point.
I won't speak over
You
you.
can't. You haven't been able to not. do
I
that
won't speak
all
over you. It's fine. Carry
Yeah,
on.
exactly. So when the people came to Jesus, Jesus said,
Nah, it's fine,
"Who
don't
do you say I am?" They said they didn't. They said you are the prophets. You are Moses. You are this and that. Not one of them said you are God. This is what the apostles believed. When Jesus apparently died according to you, the ones in Acts, the 120 believers, they prayed only to one God. Read James what he said. The devil worships one God, good. Even we worship, you worship one God, good. Even the devil worships one God. This is a testimony of James, who was supposed to be apostle to Jesus, the one that held the Council of Nicaea. He was the head of the apostles. James, the brother of Jesus. He worshipped only one God.
Could I clarify
and you
something?
read,
That's okay. Because you're not on time, so I just wanted to clarify something.
Okay, so let me finish.
Oh yeah. It's just on James and Nicaea. Just really want to
sure.
get
Let me just finish and then I'll give it to you. Yeah? So you read, in fact, they were referred to as the Jessians, the early Christians after
Jessians.
the period of yeah.
The
No,
the Essenes are the
See,
Jews.
this is what happens when
You're
you try
talking
to
about
laugh,
the
yeah? No.
the Ebionites.
Again, this is
That's the
what
Ebionites.
They don't know. You know, you don't know, and you're trying to
The
laugh
Jessians.
and mock it, but it comes back to you. They were originally called Jesse because Jesse is the son of David, and they took this name from Jesse,
Okay, let's see
David's
that.
son, yeah, Jessians, yeah, and they were the companions of Jesus were originally referred to as Jessians.
Who talks about that?
Epiphanius of Salamis says this in his
Epiphanius.
Paneros. Now, Jessians later became as the Nazareans, yeah, and they later become the Ebionites. And these people have a tradition which goes back to Jesus saying what? Worship only one God. And all of them were Jews, and Jesus was a Jew. And if Jesus saw you worshiping to him, he would not know what you're doing. He would say you're doing blasphemy, and that's the truth. If Jesus was here right now praying to God like how the Bible said he did, yeah, on his face, if any one of these Christians saw him, they would not pray to him, rather they would join Jesus and pray with Jesus to the one true God, which Jesus has always spoke about, and all of the messengers before Jesus. And you see that God says that in the Old Testament, even Jesus says it in the New Testament, and this is what we say as Muslims in the Quran.
Is that? Okay, cool. So you made a bundle of necessary errors. So the first error that I would. Thanks, man.
Are you cameraman or you debater?
You're not Christian and you're making
Hold on.
stories up.
Hey, bro, it's alright, man.
Like what?
So the first. So I want to point out the first error that I see that you may have made. So the first error that you seem to have made was associating Saint James the Just with the Council of Nicaea. I don't know if you're going to retract that. But yeah, James the Just had no partaking in the Council of Nicaea. As we know, James died in the 1st century. The Council of Nicaea was in 325. There was a prior council in 321 that was hosted in Alexandria where they did kick out Arius. 325 was just confirming what the world already knew. Now, the issue that...
Want me to still moderate this?
Nah, it's okay. I'm just going to... Yeah, it's final word, isn't it, for me,
But
right?
James is he's the one that held the Council of Nicaea when he called Paul.
Sorry, hold on. Jerusalem, not Nicaea.
Sorry,
Thank you so much.
Jerusalem, thank you.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm talking about. You pretend.
Now I know what you're talking about. I genuinely thought you were saying
James.
Nicaea.
It's the same James. Yeah?
James the Just
He was
did.
an apostle.
He was an apostle.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
So James the Just did hold the Council of Jerusalem, but that had nothing to do with Trinitarian theology because that wasn't actually a pertinent issue. The pertinent issue wasn't on the being of God; it was actually on converting to the faith in the first place. That's fine. That's fine.
Going on to other things.
I didn't interrupt you.
Yeah, but that's
So
the only
you're
time
interrupting me.
You've interrupted
No, I've
me
interrupted you all the time. So I'm gonna finish, right? So
But it's got nothing
the
to
issue
do.
that
You
we
keep
have. Hold on.
talking
The
about
issue that we
every
have is
other
this.
subject.
So when we talk about the essence of God,
What is he talking
Yeah, but
about?
just let him finish. Then
Yeah.
we can-
okay, so cool. So when we talk about God with his essence and God with his nature, right? You want to talk about whether knowledge is part of nature. I accept that knowledge is part of what it is to be God. That is fine. However, the term know that is used, for example, in Matthew 24, verse 36, doesn't necessarily mean an intellectual assent or proposition. It can mean that, but it isn't always restricted to that case. Case in point, 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 2 is a verse that is used by Paul, and he says the same word oidon, which is the Greek word for know, I did not know anything among you except for Christ and him crucified. Now that term is used as a declarative verb to say that Paul did not preach anything or declare anything except Christ and him crucified. So it is very well within the biblical scope to actually say that the term know that is used in Matthew 24:36 is actually used as a declarative verb. Also, we could say that even if it's used for this intellectual assent or proposition, Basil the Great, again in his letter 236, he also details exactly how this term is meant to be understood. That the Father is, because he is the first hypostasis of the Trinity, he would be the first good or the first one to know and pass that eternally hypostatically to the Son. That is a way that the verse can also be understood. Again, Athanasius of Alexandria also gives a third understanding of how this is to be understood, that it is referring to Christ's humanity principally. Augustine confirms this when he talks about the canonical rule that Christians in his day and in the days before have used for scripture as well. Now, here's the issue that you also said about what it means to be unbegotten, what it means to be begotten, and what it means to be preceded. There was a slight fumble that you made with the words, that you tried to say that you kind of switched out the word unbegotten for uncreated, and I would disagree, right? Because just because you are begotten, it does not necessarily mean that you are created. In order to be created, you would need to changeably come from a period of not. Yeah. Unbegotten is identical to the term unoriginal, i.e. there is no other underlying reality that is responsible for your subsistence.
Okay, so what does that mean? Uncreated, yes?
Uncreated, okay.
So if someone is responsible for you,
if something is the reason for your subsistence, it does not mean that your subsistence itself is created. There is no philosophical justification for that, unless you're arguing from this weird Neoplatonic outline.
So you check the definition of begotten. You check it, yeah?
Yeah, the definition of begotten as to be applied in Christianity. Yes, some people that are. Okay, can I finish? Is that okay? I'm going to finish. No, I wasn't finished. I know, of course, I wasn't finished, right? So the term begotten, right? Yeah. So why are you going away? I don't know why you're going away.
You can speak. I want to speak.
Very nice. Yeah, but finish
It's not
your...
really nice.
Why are you going?
Every single time.
I didn't cut you
He's
off.
cut me every single time.
It's alright, man.
But the thing is, every time he's just going to change the topic.
No, but you're almost done.
When did I change the topic once?
You talked about the Council of Nicaea, what the purpose was.
Because you said
the
it.
Council of Jerusalem, what the purpose was. No, that's not what I said. I said James,
Yeah, because you keep
James
talking about those
proceeded
things.
over that. Because reason he proceeded over the Council.
It has to have anything to do with the Trinity then.
That's what I'm saying. Every time.
Yeah, but he's just kind of doing a wrap-up.
I'm kind of doing a wrap up here. So
No, but every time I've spoken, you've spoken over me every single
not
time.
every single time. That's
And
not
it's
true.
like it's in this weird sarcasm you
No,
got
but just let him
going on.
finish his...
Yeah. So
No, but okay, finish the comment.
that's fine. Look. When you're saying unbegotten, right, this is a eunomian premise, right? Eunomius was one of the bishops of Cyzicus. He tried to argue that unbegotten is identical to the term uncreated. And because Christ is begotten, he is created. Now, the Church Fathers clarified that the term begotten in Scripture has a dual usage. It can mean begotten in the sense of giving birth to in a created fashion, and there's a variant in that insofar as when it's applied to the Son. But the term monogenes, which means only begotten, right? Monogenes, that means of your own kind or of your own
I'm not
class.
talking only begotten.
Yeah.
Begotten, but
Yeah, the
it's
term
just
begotten in application to the Son simply is a term that we Christians use to designate the procession of the Son from the Father.
Okay,
Has
see,
nothing
that
to
doesn't
do with
make any
creation.
sense.
Why does that not make sense?
It's used as the designation for the procession of the
The
Father.
Son.
You
No, of
haven't-
the Son from the
yeah,
Father.
Okay, what does procession mean?
Procession?
Yeah, what does procession mean?
Well, depending
See what
on
I'm saying?
what precedes,
One
yeah.
meaning of one word depends on another word, and that word depends on the meaning
So,
of another
okay,
word.
so the
And
term
you end up
procession-
with
hold
this
on.
airy-fairy.
Airy-fairy.
There's no definition.
I was going to tell you the definition
Are
of
you
the
gonna-
term
look,
preceding,
I'm
right?
gonna talk over. It's like you're not listening.
But you interrupted me.
Yeah, but you did kind of asking the question.
Yeah, so I'm gonna finish.
That's just getting ridiculous. You're not
Ridiculous,
listening.
bro. You're the
not
one that's
listening.
trying
You're
to
not
leave the
listening.
conversation.
No, because I wanted to speak with him.
Because you wanna stop talking to me.
I've always had good discussion with him.
That's great.
With you throughout this whole discussion.
You've been
you
making
managed to
multiple
listen,
blunders.
Even now as I'm speaking, you're talking over.
Yeah, because...
Finish what you're saying, and then I'm gonna speak.
Okay, so unbegottenness again, right? If you want to talk about begotten, it means in a way that someone proceeds from the Father. A procession can be some sort of emanation.
I'm gonna talk to him. Sorry, I'm really sorry, but I'm really sorry. Yeah, you listen to him. When you're finished, you speak to him. Yeah, but I'm done with this.
So you're going away from me now, yeah?
I'm
Cool, you're
here,
running away.
I'm here,
That's fine.
And I'm gonna continue.
Yeah,
this
that's
back.
fine.
If
Yeah.
Let's do your wrap-up then anyway.
I mean, yeah, there's only people. So again, the last thing that I want to say is how we can use the term begotten or unbegotten, right? So the term begotten in application to people like David or Solomon, that can mean that you give birth to someone, pretty simple, and it implies that you're created. But when in application to the Son, it just talks about his incorporeal procession from the Father. I was going to say spiritual as well, but that's okay, right? The incorporeal, spiritual, essential procession, hypostatic procession from the Father, okay? And that's why the Son can have the same essence as the Father. So we can say some sort of emanation. And that would literally be it. It doesn't imply created, to be honest. But yeah, that'll be it. Sorry about that, paperboy.
No, I'm not involved. I was just listening, but no,
Yeah.
it's very.
Thank you, guys. Yeah. Look, if you ever want to have a discussion about Trinitarianism, if you ever want to have a discussion on church history and stuff like that. You said you're the Panarian of Salamis, right?
No, I said
Epiphanius of Salamis. I just said Salamis because that's where he came from, right? So one thing to know about the Panarian specifically, we don't necessarily have the reason why he mentions his heresies. That's all I want to say. Also, whose microphones were these? Are these mine?
The problem is,
Where's Stacey?